Okay. Here is a detailed briefing document analyzing the provided CIA document on the gateway process. Briefing document. Analysis of the gateway experience. Document. CIA RDP 960078R001700210016-5. Analysis and assessment of gateway process, dated 9 June 1983. Introduction. This document, authored by Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McConnell, provides an in-depth analysis of the gateway experience, a set of techniques aimed at altering states of consciousness. The report attempts to provide a scientific framework for the gateway process, drawing on concepts from physics, neuroscience, and philosophy, and it aims to establish a rational basis for its methodology. It also considers the implications of these techniques for human perception, understanding of reality, and potential applications for information gathering and problem solving. Key themes and concepts. Brain hemispheric synchronization, HemiSync. The core of the gateway experience revolves around achieving synchronicity between the left and right hemispheres of the brain, a state referred to as HemiSync. This is achieved through the use of audio techniques that stimulate specific brainwave patterns, as described by Monroe Institute trainer Melissa Yeager. HemiSync is defined as a monograph by Monroe Institute trainer Melissa Yeager as a state of consciousness defined when the EEG patterns of both hemispheres are simultaneously equal in amplitude and frequency. Left hemisphere. Associated with linear, verbal, and logical thinking. Right hemisphere. Associated with nonlinear, holistic, intuitive, and pattern-oriented thought. The process aims to inhibit the left brain, allowing the right brain to come to the fore, as in hypnosis and meditation where the left hemisphere can be distracted either through boredom or sufficiently slow semi-sleep state. Altered states of consciousness. The gateway experience aims to produce altered states of consciousness that are conducive to exploration of the mind and its abilities, including time-space manipulation, remote viewing, and problem solving. These altered states are induced through various techniques. Hypnosis. Described as a technique to direct access to the sensory motor cortex and pleasure centers in the brain, effectively disengaging the left hemisphere to allow the right hemisphere to dominate. Transcendental meditation. Focused, single-minded attention on a specific mental process to create acoustical standing waves in the brain. Biofeedback. Accessing self-cognitive powers to control brain areas, specifically to consciously direct the left hemisphere to allow access to right brain activity. Biofeedback may give the user the ability to regulate physiological functions consciously. Resonance and entrainment. The gateway process uses the concepts of resonance and entrainment to achieve its objectives. According to Bentov, the change in resonance results in elimination of what the medical profession calls the bifurcation echo, so that the sound of the heartbeat can move synchronously up and down the circulatory system in harmonious resonance approximately 7 times a second. Resonance. The tendency of an object to vibrate with increased amplitude when exposed to a stimulus at its natural frequency. In the context of the document, this is used to induce a state of deep trance and altered consciousness. Entrainment. The process by which 2 or more oscillating systems lock into phase with each other. In the context of the gateway process, entrainment is key to synchronizing brainwave patterns. This can be done through audio frequencies that influence the brain's natural rhythms. Holographic universe theory. The report draws on the idea that the universe is a giant hologram, and that the brain itself is holographic in nature, a concept that stems from the works of Karl Pribram and David Bohm. The universe is composed of interacting energy fields, some at rest and some in motion. Energy fields behave as the carriers of information. Consciousness uses processes to interpret the holographic data. This suggests that reality is a projection of the mind. The report quotes Drive Ferguson as saying that holography marries brain research to theoretical physics. It accounts for normal perception and simultaneously takes the paranormal and transcendental experiences out of the supernatural by explaining them as a part of nature. In this model, The brain acts as a filter to interpret a holographic reality, and the altered states of consciousness allow the individual to access this information in a more direct manner. Time, space, and dimensions. The report suggests that time and space are not absolute but are rather dimensions of energy which can be manipulated to achieve altered states and experience out-of-body states. Energy is infinite, it cannot move because there is nothing beyond it. It is beyond the limits of form. Quote. It postulates the idea that, between time, space, and the absolute, there are dimensions that are not uniform in our physical universe. The report speculates on a dimension outside of time and space that it calls the absolute, and that human consciousness can access these different dimensions with the right techniques. Consciousness. The paper attempts to clarify the role of human consciousness and its relation to the nature of reality, arguing that it is not the brain that produces consciousness, rather, consciousness that creates the appearance of the brain. Quote. Human consciousness is an aspect of the absolute that is capable of self-observation. Consciousness is the organizing and sustaining principle that provides the impetus and guidance to bring and keep energy in motion within a given set of parameters so that a specific reality will result. Quote. Out-of-body experience. OB. The gateway techniques are designed, in part, to induce out-of-body experiences. The process of going out of body is described as clicking out, by moving into dimensions beyond time-space. The report states that it is possible to project his consciousness beyond time-space. Quote. The ability to do this allows interfacing with the new energy environment to which it is exposed, thereby greatly enhancing the extent to which the individual's altered consciousness may be further modified to achieve a much heightened point of focus and a much refined oscillating pattern. Quote.